Welcome to another edition of CARICOM File. The CARICOM single market and economy has many pillars. A key one is intra-regional trade. This portfolio falls largely under the ambit of the Ministry of Industry, International Business, Commerce and Small Business Development.
In the Barbadian context, in terms of exports, we do export goods in electronics, apparel, a little bit of apparel, alcohol beverages, rum in particular, beer. Of course, we also have the services side. A lot of what our professionals do outside of Barbados are entertainers. Those who go outside and offer their services for this market do make a tremendous benefit. Of course, there are large companies that we know of who export a lot of what they produce. Cement, for example. Some of what HIPAC would also produce in terms of agro-processed foods, some condiments. So there's a wide range of items that we do provide here in Barbados.
As a result of the policy of trade liberalization, this country must accept goods and services from other nations. Of course, importers must satisfy our regulations.
We have a very liberalized trading arrangement, so whatever consumers in Barbados demand and is not produced there, or even if some is produced there, we still allow items to come in. We don't determine the market from whence items come. Barbados has always had a very liberal arrangement in that respect, that we don't differentiate or we don't discriminate on source of market, except on the rates of duties applied. So goods manufactured within the CARICOM region would attract the common external tariff rate or the lower rate of duty, and those are arrangements we have within the region. There may be trade arrangements we have for other parts of the world that negate that or necessitate that goods coming from those jurisdictions, either all the time or some of the time, are allowed into Barbados either free of duty or at a lower rate of duty. Similarly, goods produced in Barbados going into some markets, for example, the CARICOM, under the Canadian arrangement as well, in Canada, and some arrangements in the EU, may either attract no duty or a very low rate of duty vis-a-vis those going from other jurisdictions. So it really is very broad-based, very liberal, and is driven pretty much by market demand and price.
CARICOM member states have challenges getting their goods into other destinations. So what are the challenges for Barbadian goods in other markets?
I would say the challenges come in a couple of areas. One, it's the price at which goods are produced in Barbados, the cost to produce in Barbados. We are not, let's face it, we are not one of the lowest cost places for manufacturing. In some instances, we have to import quite a bit of our raw material. We don't necessarily have, based on economies of scale, the large numbers of the population to consume, driving a better unit cost, unit price down. The technology sometimes is not there in sense of plants having been able to retool themselves. The cost of financing for the manufacturing sector is quite high in Barbados because over years there has been that lack of faith in the sector to some extent. There's also been a situation of increased competition, whereas we were forced to open up our markets. Some goods were able to come into Barbados at a lower rate, obviously affecting in a negative manner our manufacturing sector. So those perhaps are some of the factors that have contributed to our ability to produce lower cost items.
According to data obtained from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, in 2014, Barbados imported $138,637,037 worth of goods, excluding petroleum products from Trinidad and Tobago. These products included cigarettes, waters, bars and rods, aerated beverages, sweet biscuits, and detergents. Suriname came in second with $133,465,842, followed by St. Lucia, Guyana, Jamaica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Bahamas, Belize, Grenada, Dominica, Antigua, Haiti, and St. Kitts and Nevis, with the least amount of imports coming from Montserrat, where Barbados only imported $6,040 worth of goods from that country. Turning to exports for 2014, Barbados exported some $48,440,626 in items to Guyana. These products were cement, plastic bags, labels, paints, and sweet biscuits. Trinidad came in second with $47,802,361. Barbados exported only $363,387 worth of items to Montserrat for that year.
Through battles waged and fought, through victory and pain, by test of their courage, our freedom was gained. In homage to those gone before us, the heroes of lands in the sun, we vow to join hands and to focus on building one Caribbean. Raise your voices high and sing of your Caribbean pride. Sing it loud and strong, feel our hearts beat as one. Celebrate in song as we rise to heights where we belong. Sound the victory drum for CARICOM.
The Commerce Minister also identified a number of niche areas where Barbadian manufacturers can penetrate CARICOM markets.
There are actually some areas where, even though the price may be a little higher, the quality is such that, and it may be for a market that focuses more on value and quality than necessary on lower price point. I mean, for example, in the furniture industry, we have some very unique designs and unique products, for example. In some aspects of a condiment industry, pepper sauce and spices, you can't get them any other place. I've seen people try to imitate them. Then you have some really high-end areas like ocular lenses that is made by Lenstech, for example. They're one of the leading companies in the world in that particular arena.
Along with the free movement of goods and services, the single market and economy also includes the right of establishment, where Barbadian businesses can be established in any member state without restrictions. It also encompasses services, where nationals can offer their skills in other member states. The Barbados Coalition of Service Industries is committed to enabling the sector.
So what does that mean for BCSI? It means that in 2002, when the CARICOM heads of government made the decision to establish the coalitions, that they were looking to establish entities to treat with the issues of diversification away from traditional manufacturing and agriculture and the rising importance of the services sector, and of course the emergence of an identification of new non-traditional niche areas. 10 years later, what does the BCSI look like? Certainly the mandate from 2002 has run its course, and while those things still are important, the world has changed, and so too has our region, and of course so has Barbados. And so the mandate for the BCSI now, what we do, we tend to focus on a number of things in 4 main priority areas: services sector development overall, export sector development, so we're looking at what is the necessary basis for a domestic services industry that then becomes a platform for a strong export services industry. We're looking at the inputs into those sectors, so we've moved far away from looking at differences between manufacturing and agriculture and how services is on the rise, whereas manufacturing is on the decline and so is agriculture. No. The statistics at the global level are showing more and more interrelationships between and among sectors. So BCSI's role now has been to look at identifying those relationships, disaggregate the inputs that are going into all of our productive sectors, and to see how in Barbados we can develop capacity in all of those inputs so that we can increase and improve the performance in all the productive sectors, not necessarily one at the expense of the other.
There are many services that are defined under CARICOM.
So here again is where we start to have a difference in definition. So once upon a time, if you had a discussion with the average Barbadian, they're going to think service, customer service. And they think it means being nice to a person and those kinds of things. But there's something entirely different that we're dealing with here at the BCSI. We're dealing with services as an economic good. What does that mean? It means that if I'm an architect, if I'm an engineer, if I'm in the retail, the wholesale business, if I'm providing medical services, if I'm providing international healthcare, even if I'm in the tourism sector or the financial services sector, which we tend to treat with on their own, those are all services. And when you deal with it in terms of the World Trade Organization, the way they classify it, you have over 120 broad categories of services. And then when you go into the UN system, you have thousands of services sectors. Those are the things that we refer to when we say services in an economy. They have an economic value, they contribute to employment, they generate revenue for a state, they generate foreign exchange, because in Barbados they contribute to 78.2% of our annual GDP every year at a minimum. So this is the economic value that we're talking about for services.
The executive director outlines some other services that Barbadians needed to exploit if they are to make the most of the benefits under CARICOM.
Well, Barbados is known as one of the more developed countries in CARICOM, one of the MDCs, and then we have the least developed countries, which typically are those countries in the OECS and so on. So between Barbados, well, among Barbados, Jamaica, and Trinidad, we tend to have the largest exports of everything, including services, and a lot of our exports are going into the least developed countries. So you have declines in manufacturing and agriculture, but interregional trade is largely accounted for heavily by both goods and services. And even in places where you have a deficit in your goods trade, that is made up for by surpluses in your services trade. So Barbados is very dependent on services exports throughout the region, and by that I mean that you will have persons not necessarily leaving Barbados and going to live in another country permanently, but you could have a person who's going to get on a plane, who's an engineer living and working in Barbados, their family's here, but they're working consulting on a project in Trinidad or in St. Vincent. They're going to hop on a plane, go down for 2 days or sometimes even for a day and come back in the evening. They're providing services. They're being paid in a foreign country, and then that money is repatriated here into Barbados, into their firm.
Though great and diverse be our ethnicities, the bonds that unite us are stronger than these. We dine, we pray, we love, we dance and we...
So if you have a business or you have a service to provide, why not try to earn some extra revenue by working in another CARICOM member state? And that's where we leave another edition of CARICOM File. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, goodbye.
We welcome your feedback on our programs. You may email your comments to bgisfeedback@barbados.gov.bb. You may also view our website at www.gisbarbados.gov.bb or subscribe to our YouTube channel, the BGIS.
Tune in and watch programs produced by the Barbados Government Information Service, Sundays at 7:30 p.m., Mondays at 8 p.m., and Thursdays at 8:30 p.m.